I'm going to do
There we go.
Thank you. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and their guests. This meeting of online presenters has begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches, or alternately, if you have substantial relevant presentation experience, you may apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. Our requests for membership are subject to the approval of our members. If you've not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and role if you have one. Right-click, select Rename to do so. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note the meeting is being recorded. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. Also, remain muted when you are not speaking. From sunny Florida, we have our president who is doing double duty, back again in the president's role after being the charter president. I know it's Florida, so he's probably feeling hot, hot, hot. Please help me welcome our president, David Carr.
Thank you, Joni. Yes, I think it is very hot, hot, hot in Florida, but I say I think because we have this thing called air conditioning, and I have not emerged from the comfort of the home all day long. I've been working away. I'm joining you with a promo for the Toastmasters Club and District website hosting service on the screen behind me because over the weekend I was at a district conference where I was invited by Sarah Idahan, our treasurer, who had me come out to speak about the service. And that's my excuse for having that up back there as a promo, even though it has something to do with how we run our club, but it's not the point of why you are here. But one of the things that was most wonderful to me as president of this club was to look at the website and look at the digital agenda this afternoon and see all the roles filled, or almost all the roles filled. And so I was thinking, who am I going to have to nag? What role am I going to have to complain about that we don't have filled? And there was nothing for me to do, except I hope some of you saw that I sent out a note that said, thank you. Thank you for stepping up and fill the agenda. Let's try and do it more consistently in the future, because we've had a few weeks lately where we were scrambling at the last minute. But it's a delight to come to a meeting where everything is so well organized. And that must be because we have, as our Toastmaster of the day, the great Blondini, Kim Learning. Kim, please take us away.
Thank you, David. Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's online presenters meeting. Before we begin the traditional portion of the meeting, on behalf of Online Presenters Toastmasters, it is my duty and privilege to induct Carrie Kong into our club. This is an important occasion for both Carrie and for our club. As experienced Toastmasters, this individual will enrich us as we strive to enrich her in a spirit of sharing and enjoyment. Together, we expand our effectiveness as dynamic leaders, presenters, and communicators. Carrie, please wait until I call on you to affirm your commitment to the Toastmaster promise. In the presence of fellow online presenters, do you pledge, 1, to attend meetings regularly and prepare for each assignment, 2, to actively participate in club activities, 3, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with our fellow members, and to bring other new members into the club so that they can gain the benefits of Toastmasters as well? Carrie, please unmute and say, I do.
Yes, I do.
Yay. To the current members of Online Presenters, I remind you of your pledge to support Carrie in her quest for self-development, to provide her with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, and to make her Online Presenters Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Congratulations, Carrie, and welcome to Online Presenters. Attendees, please unmute and give Carrie a big round of applause.
Hey, welcome, Carrie. Hey, one of us, one of
Wow,
us,
that's
one of
lovely.
us, one of us.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, everyone.
And thank you, Carrie. And would you mind giving us a quick introduction of yourself and what Toastmasters means to you?
Just as I introduced, so I was originally from Hong Kong, and then during the before the COVID-19 in around like 2018, I joined my first Toastmaster ever in the HK Hong Kong MBA Toastmasters, and I started to become nobody. Then I gradually prepared my speech, and then I became the vice president of membership, and then I became the Toastmaster past president of the JP Morgan Club in Hong Kong. So was really honored to also once like invited the world champion like in 2018, Aaron Beverly, into like an online speech, because during COVID-19, there's no way to just like to see people in person. So I just organized like a virtual meeting, just like what we do in the online Toastmaster now. And it was like with like 500 attendants overall. So I really like speaking and to promote like the culture of like meeting everyone, and also to learn how to improve my skills and learn to those super experienced speakers here in online Toastmasters. So I'm really excited to join back the journey after like 3 years, haven't practiced so much. There are a lot of improvements I need to make. So here you're on my journey, and I would like to embrace this moment to say thank you to you. And then I'm looking forward to all the different kinds of speeches and things happening over here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carrie. And again, welcome to our club. So is everybody ready for the traditional portion of tonight's meeting? Let's get started. Color science is the theme for tonight's meeting. We're going to start with a demonstration starting now. Do not adjust your screen. We're doing an optical illusion where you're going to see color on your side of the screen, even when the image you'll be looking at will actually be in black and white. Right now, you're looking at a negative image. And to be sure this works well, you want to be sure that your brightness is up and you're close to your screen. And then I want you to stare at the middle of my, the bridge of my glasses. And the more the image takes up your field of vision, the more you stare at it, the better this experiment will work. So I need you to keep focusing, focus right here on my face, on the bridge of my nose. In a matter of moments, I will switch this to a black and white video. You will need to keep your eyes focused on the bridge of my nose, yet momentarily you will see color. Try not to look away. It's going to happen right now. Pretty crazy, right? Once you move your eyes, you're going to notice that you saw color, but I'm actually completely in black and white. Did that work for everybody? Yay! So you may think that that was actually done by Blondini, the magician, but actually it wasn't. What makes this happen is a mix of both spatial and temporal mechanisms in your eyes, actually in your retina. Your eyes adapt to the spatial pattern in the adapting image, in this case, the negative video, and pixel by pixel specifically, it works. So this would not work if our eyes adapted rapidly. It only works because our eyes adapt slowly over seconds, which is why we have the after images, which is what made us think we saw color. Now that I've hopefully blown your mind with this picturesque image, let's get on to the online presenters meeting. Tonight's meeting will consist of 3 main parts. The first part is the prepared speeches. This is where 3 online presenter Toastmasters each present a speech for a particular project from their chosen Toastmasters pathway. The second part is table topics. This is the impromptu speaking part of the meeting where we practice speaking off the cuff. The final part of the meeting is the evaluation portion of the meeting. Each speaker will receive an evaluation, and this provides a great opportunity for all of us to learn from the actionable feedback each speaker receives. After introducing the evaluations, the general evaluator will give us an overall report. It may seem like the Toastmaster of the day runs the show, but it's actually a team effort. I will now introduce tonight's volunteers. They will each have 1 minute to describe the roles for tonight's meeting. Our timer for tonight is Andy Byrne. Andy, would you please tell us your duties as timer?
The role of the timer is to help in the management of the meeting by walking the time for each of our speeches. The prepared speeches are normally between 5 to 7 minutes. The table topic or impromptu speaking is normally between 1 to 2 minutes. And lastly, the evaluations are normally 2 to 3 minutes. I will go through a sequence of changing my screen from green to yellow to red when you've run out of your time. That's it. Back to you.
Thank you, Andy. Next up is our odd counter, Teresa Savadago. Teresa, could you please describe your duties for tonight?
Good job on saying my name. Thank you. Hold on just 1 second. Pulling up my notes here. Oi, oi, oi. Sorry, you guys, I'm on my phone here, so. Okay, so the odd counter records overlong pauses, overused words, and filler sounds relied on too often by speakers. Examples include and, but, so, you know, and during the evaluation part of the meeting, I'll observe my observations when called upon. Back to you.
Thank you, Teresa. Next up is our grammarian, Antoinette Trim. Antoinette, could you please describe your duties for tonight?
Surely, as the grammarian, the word is picturesque. And if you want to describe picturesque as it relates to a building or a place, for example, visually attractive, especially in a charming way. I had a picturesque view from my hotel window of the snow-capped mountainside. Picturesque as relates to language, it also means having colorful phrases. But I'm not only taking note of the word picturesque, but I'm also taking note of people who use colorful language during their speech. Back to you.
Thank you, Antoinette, for that picturesque description of the word of the day. Next up, we have tonight's watcher. Tonight's watcher is Sunny Fridge. Miss Hot and Cold Sunny, could you please share your duties for tonight?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. As watcher, I will focus on the visual portion of our online meeting space, the picturesque backgrounds and body language. I'll be responsible for noticing all meeting participants, not just the speakers, and I'll provide constructive feedback for improvement when called upon for my report. Back to you.
Thank you, Sunny. Tonight's chat monitor is Elena Sandoval. Elena, could you please describe your role for tonight?
Hi, everyone. Today, my role is about to review the chat and enhance the people share ideas, stemming up with a little respectful, like always. And all this statement will be very enriched for everyone. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Elena. Next up, we have our vote counter for tonight, which is Carolina Ramirez. Carolina, could you please talk about your role for tonight?
Sure, Kim. Here in our club, we have an awesome platform that collects your votes, count your votes. I will put a link in the chat and you will choose your favorite prepared speaker, impromptu speaker, and evaluator. At the end of the meeting, I will announce the winners. Back to you, Kim.
Thank you, Carolina. Okay, this brings us to the prepared speeches portion of the meeting. Our first speaker for tonight is Andriy Smolenko. Andriy's speech is titled Public Relations. This is from Engaging Humor Level 5, demonstrating expertise, leading in your volunteer organization. Andriy has been a VPPR, Vice President Public Relations, for almost 12 months. In his speech, he will share with us some of the lessons he's learned, tears he's shed, and experience he's gained during his journey. Please welcome Andriy Smolenko, Public Relations.
My fellow online presenters and guests, let me ask you a question. What do you think is the most important thing you could do when you become one of the leadership team in non-for-profit or volunteering organization? For example, as our club. I just give you a few seconds to think about. Because when I joined the Online Presenters, I didn't think I would become a vice president of public relations. And then I did about a year ago, and I thought the first thing I'm going to do is, I don't know, make a plan, make a list of things I want to do, the brainstorming, I'm going to learn, and so on and so on and so on. And then I took a pause, and I realized that in my experience anyways, the thing number one, the most important thing you could do when you become one of the leaders of volunteer organization is to find yourself a replacement or a successor, of course. And what else you want to do? You just don't want to get stuck in one role for years and years and years. You better find someone who is interested in what you do and probably help them if you can. Luckily, Kritika has stepped into this role for the next year. And I just would like to congratulate her. I'm not sure she knows what she's getting herself into. Well, this is my story. Since July last year, I've been involved in a number of spectacles, a number of things that vice presidents of public relations of Advanced Club would normally do. One of the things, or one of the duties of mine, was to maintain a Facebook page. Yes, probably a surprise for some of you, we do have a Facebook page, and it's about over 1,000 likes, 1,000 followers on our page. And after my speech, I post a link in the chat. So please click on the link and like at least one or two posts that we have there, or share. So part of the duties is just keeping that Facebook page going. And how did I do that? One of the successes I would like to share with you is I shared one of the posts from our Facebook page onto the official Toastmasters International Facebook group by about 25,000 people. Toastmasters, anyone connected with Toastmasters, change, hang out, and speak to each other. And I post a question. Apparently, most of the Toastmaster clubs do not record or video record their meetings. And it's only about 7% of us do that. Never mind, I thought that publicity brought a little bit of attention to our club. Well, part of my job is promoted, even using sometimes questionable techniques. The website is easy. Luckily, our president is managing our website. It's not only he's managing our club website, he's managing or helping to manage many other clubs, their websites too. So, well, it was a really easy job for me. Just do a few things from time to time after I received the training. Well, it worked for me. Then we have a YouTube channel as well. The main thing of the YouTube channel is for us to save our video recordings, so save replays, so we can access them anytime we want. So we have about 418, I think, video recordings so far. And the first one, very first video on our YouTube channel was with Carol Prahinsky. At that time, 7 years ago, the first video, and we're still going. We're still putting more content on our YouTube. Again, I will share the link to our YouTube channel where you can access most of the videos, if not all of them, from our meetings. The other bit of my job is just try to enjoy my role. Well, and I do. And especially when I just did not upload maybe 2 or 3 our online recordings on YouTube, and I received no complaints. Not even a single person bothered me saying, hey, Andriy, what's going on? You know, where is my video? I want to share it. I want to do something with this content. Well, it didn't happen. I thought, whoa, and all the time, probably it wasn't wasted. That's for sure. Definitely a lesson number 1 that I would put from my role is attend the meeting. It all starts with regular attendance. If you are a club officer or in a leadership position, I try to make commitment to be at all the meetings, learn and support our club. Number 2, to me, that was an opportunity to grow, because I grow not directly with the skills probably I've gained. At the same time, I've grown as a more confident speaker and communicator and team player as well. So I could use it in my business and career as well. And the more you give, the more you receive. I think it's one of the main things to me about Toastmasters. It's just when you give your time to the people you care about, not for money, not for profit, just because you care, then you get much, much more back. And as you guess, on top of the list is an absolutely amazing skill for any leader involved in non-for-profit organization. Well, find your self-replacement as soon as you can. Then hopefully you can just relax, put your feet up, and let the machine working for you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Andriy. And I love that you said that one part of your job is to enjoy it. And so I just love that you do enjoy it. And I love that you said that. And then the finding replacement part, I want to say thank you to me, because you're taking over as Vice President membership. So thank you for being my replacement ahead of time. So our second speaker for tonight is Joni-Renee Laidlaw. Joni's speech is titled Nature's Way. This is from Dynamic Leadership Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals, Evaluation, and Feedback. First speech. Please welcome Joni-Renee Laidlaw, Nature's Way.
Quick hands up for anyone here who knows what the Fibonacci sequence is. Yeah, I see Andy's hand, and Andy, I see Kritika nodding as well. The ode to this picture was because I know that that's how most of us are aware of the Fibonacci sequence. We're aware of it through Michelangelo and how he did David. Now, for those of us who don't know, let me just give you a little bit of an idea. It's a set of steadily increasing numbers where each number is equal to the sum of the preceding 2 numbers. So the simplest way in the series is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, etc., knowing that it has a specific order. In essence, what I'm doing today, though, is not explaining the mathematical ramifications of the Fibonacci sequence. I'm here to explain why, when you're sitting out in a picturesque view, looking over nature, why you feel a difference and an understanding or connection. In specific, how it applies to a fixed versus a growth mindset. Now, for those of us who aren't people who spend a lot of time in nature like I do, looking out at flowers and other nature, you might not see the sequence in how things apply. It might not dawn on you that things aren't linear. We all look at life as linear because we were born, then we die. We know that yesterday was one day, then today is another. But life, I've found, with everything that you do, is actually not linear. As flowers grow, they start off in a certain way. Then, as time progresses, it spirals out, and the further it goes is the further it moves towards perfection. Meaning, nothing starts out perfect. Even a child, when they're born and they're learning to walk, not every child learns to walk in the same way. Some never ever creep or crawl, depending on how you say it, while others actually do. It's about learning something and revisiting it over time until you perfect the small thing. Then you go on to perfect it even more. And then you go on from your knowledge to perfect it even more. Now, I know that everywhere you look in nature, you will actually see this occurring. Everything is formed or grows in that process, including us. Now, I guess everybody is wondering, what does that have to do with a growth mindset? Well, Carol Dweck has a theory that argues that people holding a growth mindset believe that their abilities can change with practice, while people with a fixed mindset believe that their abilities can't be changed. You see, what happened was she took a group of children and did an experiment. Some of them, she told them that they were smart. The other group, she encouraged them for their hard work. Did you know that the group that was told that they're smart lost their curiosity? To the point where they even made stuff up when they were asked how they did. While those who just were told, great job, good going on your progress over time, actually did it just for the fun of learning. Most of us have gotten, because of school, into the idea that we are supposed to hit 100. That's the smart mark and that's the best. But being aware of the Fibonacci sequence and understanding how nature works, not every hurricane is a category 5. Some never even make it to being hurricanes, but they still do what they're intended to do. In the same way, we don't look at a flower or a rose and say, you're growing incorrectly. This is the way you should grow. If the rose finds that where it's planted, it's not blooming, then it moves slightly towards the sun. Does that make your overall view and how you express yourself as a rose, or in this case, a sunflower, affect overall? Yes, it does. It's our imperfections that actually accumulate to bring us towards perfection. So the next time you have a picturesque view and you are looking out at the beauty of nature, take the time to give it grace, just as you do yourself, and understand that everything is the accumulation of what we do over time as we learn, relearn, and aim towards maybe not perfection, but our own version of beauty. Back to you, our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Joni. That was fascinating. So the one time I really learned about the Fibonacci curve was on how to use it in photography for your composition to make your pictures more picturesque. So moving on to our third speaker. Our third speaker for tonight is Graham Cairns. Graham will be presenting from Presentation Mastery, Level 4, Managing a Difficult Audience. Today, Graham will deliver a 5-minute speech as an impromptu presentation, and he was given the topic just a few minutes ago. And this Toastmaster has asked I've actually asked 3 Toastmasters to interrupt Graham's presentation somehow, and he will have to deal with those interruptions. Let's welcome Graham.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I was asked a little while ago to talk about the best magic. And we've had some really good examples earlier in this seminar here today. For example, we had Kim using the magic of changing from black and white to color. You remember that bit there? Was that magic, or was that in fact technology? And then we've just heard about the Fibonacci sequence. Is that magic, or is that technology? Arthur C.
Great
Clarke.
question.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, sorry. Great question. I'm going to mute myself.
That's all right.
Sorry.
No worries. Thanks, Carolina. If we can ask for everybody to please keep their microphones down, unless you have a question, and I'll deal with questions at the end of this. Arthur C. Clarke, science fiction author, once said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And I thought when I read that, that's true. But perhaps even more importantly, does that mean that if technology is distinguishable from magic, if you can see it, does that mean that it's not in fact sufficiently advanced? I can give you an example of that. My sister once made the argument to me that many of today's society's problems are because of automatically opening doors. And I looked at her and said, you know, you're loopy. But she said, no, think about it. When we were children, you would walk up to a door as a family, and then when the whole family was there, one of the children would be given the opportunity to open the door for everybody to go through into a shop. But now, of course, we have automatically opening doors. Children just rush ahead of their parents. They don't wait for the rest of the family. They just wait for the door to open. But more importantly, when we walk up to a door and it does not open automatically for us, we get frustrated, we get angry because the technology is working against us, or at least it is not working the way that we expect. So I have to ask, have we in fact become effectively slaves to technology? Do we now depend so much on technology that we are no longer able to do things for ourselves? I suspect anybody who's ever tried to drive a car with which they are not familiar, for example, if you are only familiar with driving an automatic car and have never tried driving a stick shift, then you'll find that it's really quite difficult. Sonny, that's a nasty cough you've got there. Perhaps you might like to mute the microphone and go and get yourself a glass of water. It's a terrible thing for us to be happening. So good idea. The thing is, you too, Carolina.
That was me again. Sorry.
That's all right. Yes, if we can keep the mics closed, that will make it easier for me to get to the point. And there really is a point here, I'm telling you, and that is that we have become slaves to the technology. But here's the thing. It's not magic, this technology. I would argue that the real magic is not technology. The real magic is imagination. We've seen the great Blondini perform.
Do you think that?
Yes, I genuinely do believe that. Caroline, if you've got a question, please put it down into the chat, and I'll try to get back to all of the questions at the end. But otherwise, we're going to run out of time, and none of us. There is no magic that's going to give us extra time. So,
okay. So, are you taking questions?
I will be taking questions, but if you can put the questions into the chat, I will then respond to them at the end of this session. That will mean that we can do this in a timely fashion.
Okay,
Imagination.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Imagination is the key to magic. We've seen the great Blondini perform earlier in this seminar, and the thing that we all have to consider is that it's not that she is able to actually conjure things. It's not that she is able to change things from one state to another using technology or magic. It is that we can imagine that she can. Let me give you an example of the very best magic that I can demonstrate. And that is the ability to create something out of nothing. When I met my wife, she got all of my love. And yet, when we had our first child, that love didn't get divided between my wife and my son, it got multiplied. And then when my daughter was born, it multiplied again. We have the ability through our emotions to multiply inexorably the ability to love. We have the ability in our imaginations to go whenever or wherever. That's the best magic, the magic of our imagination. We've got a couple of questions, and I'd like to answer those if I can. The question from David was, do I find questions enter chat distracting, and am I able to keep pace with them? Well, I have to say, one of the things as a presenter that you need to be aware of is that if you answer questions during a presentation, it tends to break the flow of your concentration and the flow of the audience. Whereas by putting the questions at the end, which is what we've done today, it allows everybody to stay with you and then to have their questions answered, whereas answering them during it can be a little more difficult. The worst magic trick I've ever seen is a question from David. Oh, look, I have seen some terrible magic tricks. I have performed some terrible magic tricks. We have seen magic that's supposed to be astounding, but in fact you can see the sleight of hand or sleight of hand. I'm not quite sure whether it's slate or sleight, doesn't really matter. It's a bit like when you're having sausages. I really quite like sausages. I love sausages. They're bad for me, I admit, but I love sausages. But the thing about sausages is that I never want to see them being made, because once I see a sausage being made, then the magic of that sausage is not something that I wish to see. So the worst magic trick I've ever seen is how to make a sausage out of all of the offcuts and things like that. The same holds true of any form of magic, any form of imagination. If you've ever seen an author writing, the writing process is a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing for them. It's a terrible thing for you to observe. But sometimes we need to do that. That's such a cliche, the sausage thing. Yes, and in fact, it is a cliche. But the thing about, here's the thing. Do you know where the word cliche comes from? It's a French word, which essentially you collect a group of words that are so often used that the typesetters would keep that phrase in a little box. So when they were going to use that phrase in publishing, they would pick up the entire phrase rather than doing it letter by letter. The same where stereotype is.
Interesting.
So the best magic is the magic that you invent from your imagination. The worst magic, well, quite frankly, that can also be the imagination that you invent from your imagination if it doesn't work, if it goes off the rails, if things fall apart, which is what's happening now. And on that note, I'll hand control back to our Toastmaster, Kim Leeming.
Woo! Go Graham!
Thank you, Graham. I'll tell you, I don't, that is a tough speech. I don't know how you kept your cool as we were all watching the Sunny Show. The Sunny Show was absolutely hilarious. And I love that you took one of the interruptions that had in the chat of the word cliche and then described it. Awesome job. Our timer for tonight is Carolina. No, it's not. It's Andy Byrne. Andy, can you please give a timer's report for the 3 speeches?
My pleasure. You'll notice, Kim, that I put all the times in the chat. Graham's timing was 7:02. We had the scrolling up there.
Joni 5:46. I don't see, and Andriy 7:02.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you for posting the times. And it looks like everyone qualified. So if all our speakers qualified, so if everyone could please take a moment to send your vote, to cast your vote for best speaker of the day, that'd be great. And we now are moving on to the table topics impromptu speaking portion of the meeting. Tonight's table topics master is Carolina Ramirez. So I'm sure we're in for a very fun table topic session. Please welcome Carolina to the virtual stage.
Thank you, Kim, for your introduction. Today we will be talking about colors. I have a few questions. Some of them are very easy. Some of them are a little bit difficult, I would say. You will have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your best answer, the best answer you can give. The first one is very simple. What colors did you choose for your house and why? And this question goes for our new member, Carrie Kong.
Thank you, Table Masters. Good evening, everyone, and nice to meet everyone. So as you can see, I have a virtual background, so you cannot see anything regarding my wall. But my favorite color regarding my wall is pink. You might say, oh, I might look a little bit childish. I live my childhood dream, or maybe I just want a fairy tale. There are like a couple of reasons I want to choose pink for my wall in my house. Firstly, I really want to embrace myself in the face of like YouTuber. And for that YouTuber, I would really want to teach children like English and teach children Chinese. So although my YouTube is still on the way, but I would like to show my house to the people one day. So like a pink background with a lot of different pictures, glitters, they would definitely attract a lot of like children into the ground so that they can look into my video and say, wow, this teacher is very, good. And then like they will like my wall. And second of all, I think it's between a point of like not easy to get dirty, but also it's not easy to get too dark. Because if you have like too dark of a wall, you will feel a little bit gloomy sometimes. But if you have too white a wall, it's so easy to get dirty because some people, you might have your feet, just put over their hands and then you just get dirty sometimes. So definitely pink is my favorite color so far. And I would like to choose the color pink for my wall, even though it's a little bit too princess kind of like theme. But this is my choice. And then I'm really looking forward to see how other people's choices are. Thank you so much. Back to you, Table Toastmasters.
Thank you very much, Carrie, for your answer. I love pink and I love black as well. I love to wear black, as you can see. And the next question is related to that, related to our clothes. And it says, what are your favorite colors to wear and why? And tell us something about your favorite item of clothing. This question goes to Elena.
Well, my preferred color is black. That's it, the black and white. Because I don't know, for me it's like it's a color that I can to be more relaxed. In the day, blacks, and in the night, in the day, white, and in the night, blacks. Always I try. This is my typical dress style. What is my preferred style to dress? Is informal, but also like a little bit fashion. I love the fashion, definitely. For me, the fashion is, I love it. I enjoy to with a very comfortable dresses, especially in summer. I really enjoy when I can dress, even though I love the black. During the summer, for me, my mind changed, and also the colorful change on my preference. It's because I will start to dress more colorful dresses, very topical, because this kind of the dress style for me is represent more that I see in the nature. So I'm very changeable person in the way I choose my style dress, but sometimes you will see my clothes, it will be always the same, black and white. That's it. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Elena. That's a perfect combination. Very easy to combine with everything. And next question. For you, colors are associated with emotions. What colors make you feel sad or happy? This question goes to Antoinette.
Thank you, Table Topics Master, for that question. I have heard of colors, what was mentioned before, pink, black, white. The colors that make me feel happy would be green. I love green because where I live, I have greenery all around me, hardly any houses. And it gives me a peace of mind. So I love green. And it makes me happy. It makes me closer to nature. It brings me closer to nature. Black, on the other hand, makes me sad. Black and purple. Because in the Caribbean, to be specific, Tobago, anytime you wear black or purple, it reminds you of, most people, should I say, wear black and purple to funerals. I don't know why, but that's the predominant color to wear to funerals, black or purple and purple. And those colors make me very sad, very droopy. And so those colors, I try to avoid them. However, with the mixture of black and white, that is gorgeous. You feel like a king or prince when you walk into the room with black and white. But total black, very dreary. Back to you, Paper Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Antoinette. Green, the color of nature. Next question. Maybe you know the answer, or maybe you're going to, you'll have to create an answer for us and explain the situation here with our planet. Do you know why we see the blue sky and the reddish sunset? If you don't know, try to guess. This question goes for Sam. You're muted.
Madam Table Topic Master, thank you so much for the question. It's actually the most difficult question this evening. You see, as I said last week, I've been a finance professional for over 20 years. I know nothing of science. I know absolutely, I don't know why the sun looks the way it does when it rises and different when it sets. I don't know why the sky is blue. I can guess why the sky is blue. I think it's a reflection of the ocean. That would be my most educated guess. And why the sun looks the way it does when it sets, I think it's how we perceive color, how our visual senses perceive color. And it may be the same reason why we see that the sky is blue. One thing I do know, both look very picturesque. I love a sunset. I love the blue sky. I hate rainy days. And one of my most sad moments is when I have an extended period of rainy days when I don't see the sun and the blue sky. Back to you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you very much, Sam. Well done. The color we see in the sky depends on the effect of atmospheric diffraction and the position of the sun in the sky. And you can search more in Google. It's very interesting. It depends on the length of the waves as well. And last question, it's difficult, and we're going to talk about what happens outside our planet. You know why there are stars that are whiter, others bluer, and others redder? If not, try to guess. And this question about the color of the stars goes to Sunny.
The question you asked is pretty difficult about stars in the sky. I don't know, but I have met a lot of stars in my life. One of my favorite stars was meeting Michael Jackson when he had the old nose. I met him because my friend snuck me into a studio when he was filming The Wiz. And believe it or not, we got a chance to sit down and talk with him one-on-one. And then I had to ask him the question, where do you live? And he said, a certain place. I said, I know you live a certain place. Where do you live? But Michael was trying to tell me that he lived in Sutton Place in New York. It's a ritzy area. Boy, did I feel a little silly later on. But that's one star that I met. And then there's the Oprah Winfrey. I had an opportunity to meet her once, and she certainly shined bright. And we went to the Bahamas together with Gail, her best friend. And I'll tell you, 300 other women as well. We went to the Bahamas, but that was fun. And we saw lots of stars in the sky. But I'll get back to you on your question. I wish I could have asked ChatGPT. I know ChatGPT would have given me a great answer, but next time I'll be prepared. But I love stars in general, and we're all stars. And may we all shine bright. Back to you.
Well done, Sunny. The color of the stars is related to temperature. The hottest and youngest stars have a bluish color, and the reddest stars are the oldest and with the lowest temperature. Back to you, Miss Toastmaster Kim.
Thank you so much, Carolina. Really enjoyed your interesting table topic questions. And we're now going to head into the evaluation portion of the meeting, and our general evaluator for tonight is Sherry Blake. She will lead the evaluation portion of the meeting. Please welcome Sherry to the virtual stage.
Thank you so much. So my job is to evaluate everything that took place during the meeting. And in addition, I will conduct the evaluation portion of the meeting. And I have a team that will help me with that. The team consists of evaluators, odd counter, grammarian, and the timer, and of course the watchers. So let's get started with the evaluators. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, so our first evaluator is I'm sorry, give me 1 sec. Our first evaluator is Kirthika. And Kirthika will be evaluating speaker number 1, Andriy Smolenko. Kirthika?
Thank you, Sherry. It's always been a pleasure to be an evaluator, and it's also going to be tough when there are quite good speakers who are lined up. So today I'm going to evaluate Andriy Smolenko, and his speech level is level 5, engaging humor. His speech is to target his learnings and experience in leading a non-voluntary organization. So this speech exactly was formulated in a way, his learnings and the way that he took forward and taken over since he was a VPPR for this online presenters Toastmasters club. During his speech, I would say, Andriy, you have provided information about the social media presence of the club. And I would also encourage you to provide all the details of the social media presence of the club on a whole. But there was a kind of coverage of the way the number of subscribers who were more in the social media is being covered during the speech, as I understand. Your speech also was taken forward in the way that you learned from or as being a VPPR. The speech was impressive in a way that you presented the visual note and the auditory sense or the tone that you presented with the details were like quite interesting and impressive. One note which I wanted to make you show you here is this particular scene, which was like kind of fearful, and the way that you narrated your speech was auditorily, it was good, but the fears was like to be reduced to a little amount of, or I would say like the expression should be like taken under consideration and control. Apart from this, there is one more improvement point which I wanted to make you aware of is you could have given your achievements and impressions, which has given you such a great learnings during your journey as a VPPR. On an overall, your speech was delighted to know more about our presence, our online presenters club presence, as well as your learnings as being a VPPR, where you had an opportunity to attend meetings, grow, and the more that you wanted to give back as a member of online presenters. Here, being more than an evaluator, it's like a kind of critic where I had an opportunity to give you the feedback as well as to learn from you, getting the knowledge transferred as a new VPPR who would also be taking care of the online presenters club moving forward. And one last information or one last tip that I wanted to give you was the way that you presented me as a new VPPR was like interesting, and I'm seriously impressed by the way that you introduced me. Apart from this, your overall speech was engaging with slightly little less humor, but a lot of information, and the way that you presented and the interest that you took as being a VPPR and as being a member of online presenters is quite impressive. Over to you, Sherry.
Thank you so much for that, Kirthika. We appreciate your feedback. Next, we'll have David Carr, who will be evaluating Joni-Renee Laidlaw. David.
All right. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. We have some guests on the line too, so that's great. And very much Joni. Joni, you I think asked in the WhatsApp chat a little while ago. Does anybody know what a Fibonacci? Is that Fibonacci sequence is? And would you like to hear a speech on it? And I had kind of a vague idea, but you came to us tonight and you explained it as a mathematical sequence that basically outlines how the natural world works, how things grow, how the proportions of the body relate to each other. These repeating patterns that we can find in nature. And I wondered about why does Joni want to give us this dull academic speech, but it wasn't that. It was relating that broad concept to some specific examples so that we can understand how a flower grows. And we don't tell the flower that it's growing the wrong way. We don't tell the person that they're growing the wrong way. We don't say that to a child. We don't say that to another speaker, another club member who we're trying to help along their journey and make them better. And hopefully I'll do a little bit of that tonight. Let's see, I do have some things in the middle here to give you as points of feedback, points of improvement. When you were talking about, well, we don't tell the flower that it's growing wrong, and we're not disappointed that not every hurricane can become a category 5. Well, as a Floridian, I'm kind of opposed to category 5 hurricanes. That's the top of the scale for anybody who doesn't know. I like the category 1s, maybe the category 2s, to kind of brush past, knock over a couple of deck chairs, and that's about it, as opposed to the ones that strip your roof off. So, and we went back and forth a little bit on this in the chat. She really wasn't intending to say that's something that she was in favor of either. And actually, there's a point that maybe she just needed to pivot to a little bit more cleanly about we don't necessarily need everything in nature to reach its full potential. We don't necessarily have to cheer for the Category 5 hurricane. All right. Once that's clear, I'm okay, but just be careful about taking something that could be heard as a negative and promoting it like it is a positive. I do also know that sometimes maybe you don't have the opportunity to situate yourself in quite the perfect setting with no noise in the background, no kids making distractions, because I was looking for where is that sound coming from, and I realized it was coming from your feed, not somebody else who'd forgotten to mute. So there may be times where you just have to use a headset or something to try and present better, since you are an online presentation expert, and that's something that we're trying to represent ourselves in this club. But there were so many things that I loved about the speech, about building towards perfection a step at a time, knowing that we never get there. That's a wonderful message to share with everybody. General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, David, for that evaluation. I actually found Joni's speech to be, I'm not going to say difficult to comprehend, but it was something different. And you did a fantastic job in evaluating her. So sometimes with the speech content, it can maybe make the evaluation a little more difficult, but you did a great job. Next up is evaluator number 3, Carrie Kong. She will be evaluating Graham's speech. Carrie?
Thank you so much, general evaluators and everyone. Good evening, and good evening, Graham. So tonight's Graham's presentation is focusing on presentation mastery path, and then he is currently on level 4, building skills, managing a difficult audience. But instead, it's more than one difficult audience. There are like many difficult audience in this speech. There are 3 or more. So if I can recall, so Carolina was trying to ask questions, and then Sonny and a lot of other people was coughing in the chat. And then Elena was trying to interrupt the speech of Graham, which definitely gave him a little bit shock. So although your background is not very picturesque today, but definitely your speech is very picturesque, and I'm really impressed. So great job to Graham. So there are 3 things tonight you'll excel at that I really like. The first one is your professionalism, and the second one is your clarity, and the third one is definitely your humor. So to talk about your professionalism, I still remember that when Elena was trying to interrupt you and say, oh, I need to ask you some question and put something on the chat. And Graham was very wisely maintaining his professionalism and trying to stand like really calmly and say, I can direct the questions, and maybe you have comments, you can put it in the chat. And then we address it at the end of the presentation, right? So definitely it's a very professional behavior. I would say you are remaining really calm in this area. And then I really like your clarity, because even though some people, they interrupt in the speech, you still remain very clear on your speech. Technology, I'm focusing on this, and you're really passionate. So I can still hear your speech really clearly. Definitely a very good one. And then the third one, you're humorous as well, because when Sonny was trying to cough and you say, wow, that's a good cough, you know, good catch. And then you're trying to make everything positive that I really like. Regarding to this, you might consider to work on like several aspects, your audio, your audience awareness, and also your eye contact. So for these 2 things, your audience awareness, I would say, even though Graham, you were really calm, but still you're shocked in your inner. I can feel a little bit terror coming inside out a little bit, because maybe you didn't expect when was the time, you know, those audience would come in. So there are like several moments you were hesitating, doesn't know what to do, until maybe after like 20 seconds, you were trying to address the situations. But I would say you might try to smile a little bit more. If you don't want to answer the question right away, you can say, my short answer is this, but later on you can put it on the chat, and then I can address it going forward. So be a little bit more aware of this kind of situations. And also your eye contact, because I saw that you were trying to peek at your notes and here and there, or maybe you're looking to the side. You thought we didn't see it, but actually we can see it because we're focusing on your screen. So definitely those are the two areas I would suggest you could work on. And I would challenge you to be a little bit more natural in navigating those situations. But overall, you do a really good job. And that's definitely a very picturesque speech, and you address the situations well. And I'm looking forward to your next challenge to more audience interactions in a speech. And thank you so much. Back to you, General Toastmasters.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for that detailed evaluation. We greatly appreciate it. Now we're going to move on to the rest of the evaluation team. I will call on the odd counter to give us her report. Teresa.
Thank you. Today was a great day. There were a couple people who are still working on their likes us. And, Carrie, I caught you with several likes and us and both in your table topics and in your evaluation. But, oh gosh, I really love the way you framed that evaluation, and it was just a knockout. So I loved it. And let's see, moving on, Krithika, we had several uhs and a couple likes. And David, we had multiple uhs, repeater words of I, and the, and that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Teresa. Next up will be the grammarian, Antoinette.
Yes, I found we did pretty well. The word picturesque. 5 speakers used the word picturesque. Kim, she used it 4 times. Carrie used it 3 times. And Samuel, Sunny, and Joni used it once. Sorry, Joni used it twice, and Sunny and Samuel used it once. I would just like to draw some attention to maybe 2 or 3 phrases that were profound statements. By Andriy, the more you give, the more you receive. Joni, things are not linear. Harry, embrace yourself. David, pivot a little more cleanly. Carrie, again, feeling a bit terror. There are others, but I found those were very interesting statements that were made, and I believe all of us can take note of. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Antoinette. Next up will be the watcher, Sunny, Dr. Sunny. Is she around, or did she disappear?
No, I didn't disappear totally.
Yep, I see you right there.
Okay, yes, I was trying to see if I could have pulled on some screens. And what I loved about tonight in terms of being able to watch was that our Toastmaster of the day, Kim, did a little bit of illusions, and I caught a picture of that, and I thought that was very different and meant to catch another shot, but smile. And then I also noticed that Joni was very colorful in terms of the theme. It worked very well with our picturesque word of the day as she talked about growth mindsets. And I did not catch it, but I saw Samuel, I saw Andriy with his technology that he used, and he was able to show us how he did the VPR duties. And I thought that was great. And in general, if you just take a look at our screen, just as we look at each other, I think that we look very good today and very colorful, and we're very picturesque. So we did a good job. I love the background by Carrie Kong. She said it is a Hong Kong background. Good job taking us to another world and out of this world. Elena, she has a background going on too. And kudos to Joni for having the 100th anniversary, 100 years of our Toastmasters organization. So all in all, we had lots of great things to look at and still look at. Kim, again, is giving us that weird vibe. Illusions, just an illusion. But I enjoyed being the watcher. I think we're all doing well. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunny. Next, we're going to have the chat monitor, Carmen Elena.
Hi. Hi. Well, the chat, it was like always very respectful, a lot of dynamics with a lot of comments, very funny. And today I got a lot of information about our social media link too. It was very nice. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Elena. Next, let's move to the timer. I know you were putting the time in the chat, but can you just give us a quick overview of what you captured?
I'd be happy to do so. For our evaluators, we only had Carrie Kahn meet the timing requirements for the evaluation segments. Therefore, you don't need to vote because everybody else was knocked out because they were over time. Back to you.
Thank you so much. And next, let's go to the vote counter. Carolina.
Hello, everyone, again. The best table topics speaker goes to Carrie Kong. Woo! And the best speaker goes to Joni-Renee Laidlaw. Congratulations to the winners. Back to you, Sherry.
Thank you so much. So I think that ends the reports from the evaluation team. And what I'll do now is just give you a general evaluation of the meeting. The meeting started on time, which always seems to happen, so that's nothing new. I found this to be what I'll call a fun session. I really enjoyed this session. Andriy gave another great speech with his interesting slides. They were very appealing to the eye. And is it the Fibonacci sequence? I learned something new today from Joni. And I loved Graham's speech with the difficult audience. I loved the distractions. Although I felt they were subtle, I thought we were going to have our hecklers like really jump in a little more and really annoy Graham. but they did a fantastic job. When Carolina first said something, she was just so cool about it. She was a true heckler. I loved it. And Dr. Sunny's, animation, and then David's comments in the chat. That was really good. And Graham gave a great tip about, I agree that questions should be asked at the end of the session, just so you don't interrupt the speaker. So that was a great tip that he gave. And the other thing I'll point out too is that we need to have others who can take on the role of the vote counter, which I mentioned earlier. That will give Carolina a break. And then what if she's on vacation or she's decides she doesn't want to be bothered on a Monday evening, well, depending on where she is, and we would need somebody else to take on that role. Most of the roles this evening were filled at the start of the meeting, which is something that David mentioned. But overall, great meeting. I had a wonderful time, as I usually do, so it's nothing new. But back to our Toastmaster. Thank you.
Great job as general evaluator. I think that was your first time here at Online Presenters. So thumbs up to you on that. So I know we're getting close to, 1 minute left. I have to do my obligatory dad jokes because that's what I do every time I'm Toastmaster today. So I'll make this really quick. These are all going to be about photography. What do you call a group of cameras? It's a click. Why did the lens break up with the camera? Because there was too much focus on its flaws. And lastly, what do you call a photo taken by a cat? It is a portrait. Okay, so back to you, Mr. President David Carr.
All right. Thank you very much, Kim. And nobody else has claimed tip of the day for next week. I'll do the how to use the vote counter tool then.
Did you ask me to do the Zoom?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll put it in for the following week.